Welcome to CBS Easy.
All right, today we're jumping into a story that's a huge favorite for exam setters. Victor Canning's A Question of Trust. It is such a brilliant lesson in irony and deception, and trust me, by the end of this, you'll see exactly why it's so critical for your exams. But let's kick things off with the big question this entire story revolves around. Is there really such a thing as honor among thieves? The whole plot really hangs on the answer to this, so keep that question in the back of your mind as we go through it. So here's our game plan. First, we'll meet our guy, Horace. Then we'll check out his so-called perfect plan. After that, we meet the mysterious lady in red, break down her incredible deception, and, of course, watch Horace's big downfall. Then we'll wrap it all up with the key takeaways you need for your exams. Let's dive in. First up, let's get to know our main character, Horace Danby. Now, to really get this story, you have to understand one thing. He's not your typical criminal, not even close. This right here is the whole puzzle of Horace Danby. On one hand, he's a respectable 50-year-old locksmith, he's got a successful business, he's generally a happy guy. But there's a secret. Once a year, like clockwork, he robs a safe. He's not doing it because he's desperate. He's this careful, calculated thief who's hiding in plain sight. So why does he do it? What's his motivation? It's not about the money, not really. It's about this. Horace is a bibliophile. He absolutely loves rare, expensive books. And that's what he steals for, to fund his passion. And you know, that one detail just makes him a way more interesting character than your average burglar. Okay, section 2, the perfect plan. This is where we get to see just how careful and methodical Horace really is. I mean, just look at this. The guy is a planner. It's almost like he's studying for an exam himself, right? He spends 2 solid weeks casing the joint, Shotover Grange, learning everything, the wiring, the rooms, the schedules of the servants. He even knows where they hide the key outside, and crucially, he always wears gloves. No detail is too small. And the prize? It's a big one. The jewels in that safe are worth around 15,000 pounds, way more than enough to buy those 3 special books he wants. For Horace, this is it, the perfect job. Low risk, high reward. Or so he thinks. And right here, this is the moment everything flips upside down. Say hello to the lady in red. She's the one wild card that Horace's perfect plan never ever saw coming. You know, before he even sees her, his plan starts to unravel. And it's because of something so small, so random. A big bowl of flowers on a table. Turns out Horace has terrible hay fever. He starts sneezing, and that tiny little flaw is what gives him away. It's just a classic example of how one small thing can ruin a huge plan. So he's in the middle of a sneeze, and suddenly he hears a voice from the doorway. It's not a servant, it's not the police, it's a young, pretty woman dressed in red, and she looks completely calm, which is a little weird considering she just found a burglar in her house. Just listen to her first line. There's no screaming, no panic. She's actually amused. She has total confidence. Right from this moment, she is in complete control, and Horace is totally caught off guard. He thought the house was empty. Turns out, he just walked right into a trap. And this brings us right to the heart of the story, the ultimate deception. What happens next is a brilliant psychological game, and let's be honest, Horace is completely out of his league. So how exactly does she trick him? Well, it's a masterclass in manipulation. She pretends to be the wife of the owner. She makes up this whole story about needing her jewels for a party tonight, but oh no, she's forgotten the combination to the safe. At the same time, she's playing on his biggest fear, going back to prison, and also stroking his ego, treating him like a gentleman. She turns him from a burglar into her personal helper. It's genius. And Horace, who is just desperate to avoid prison, he falls for it hook, line, and sinker. He actually sees a way out. He even offers her his lighter for her cigarette, a small gentlemanly act. And in that moment of hope, he asks if she'll just let him go. He thinks he's actually negotiating his way out of this mess. And then the fatal mistake. The one move that costs him everything. In his rush to play the part of the helpful gentleman, to get the safe open for her, he takes off his gloves. All that careful planning, all that caution, gone. In one single impulsive moment. Okay, pop quiz time. This is a classic exam question, so pay attention. What was Horace's single most crucial mistake? Was it the sneezing? Talking to the dog? Believing her story?
or removing his gloves? The correct answer is D. Look, believing her was his psychological error, for sure, but removing his gloves was a physical act that left behind the evidence that would seal his fate.
So let's see the consequences of that huge mistake. Time for our next section, the ironic downfall. This is where the story delivers its final, absolutely brilliant twist. So Horace walks away feeling relieved. He thinks he got away clean. But 2 days later, there's a knock on the door. It's a policeman. The game is up. But wait a minute. How? He didn't even take the jewels. It was simple, really. The evidence was undeniable. When he took off his gloves to open the safe for her, he left his fingerprints all over it. He willingly opened the safe for the real thief and left behind all the proof they needed to pin the whole thing on him. And here it is, the knockout punch. When Horace is arrested, he tells the police the whole story about how the lady of the house asked him to open the safe for her. And then the real wife shows up, and she is a gray-haired, sharp-tongued woman of 60, nothing like the charming young woman in red. She says his story is complete nonsense. The lady in red, she was just another thief, a much, much smarter one. Which brings us to our final section, the high-yield wrap-up. Okay, this is the part you'll really want to focus on for your revision notes. Let's boil this all down to the key takeaways. All right, let's lock in these 4 key points. First, character. Remember, Horace isn't your average thug. He's a respectable thief. Second, the plot. It's all about a careful planner getting totally outplanned by someone even more clever. Third, the irony. This is the big one. He gets arrested for a crime where he got nothing, and he's convicted with evidence he left while trying to be a gentleman. And finally, the main theme. Appearances can be very deceiving, and there is absolutely no honor among thieves. And this last line from the story just says it all, doesn't it? Horace is now in prison, and funnily enough, he's working as an assistant librarian, surrounded by the books he loves but can't have. And now he gets furious anytime someone even mentions honor among thieves. He learned the hard way that when it comes to a question of trust, a fellow criminal is the very last person you should ever believe.
Thank you for watching with us. See you next time.